Welcome to Herbally Yours, an adventure into the world of natural medicine. Here is your host, Dr. Ellen Kamai, the natural nurse who will help you take the leap to ultimate wellness.
And greetings. Thank you so much for joining me, Ellen Kamai, the natural nurse, for another edition of Herbally Yours on the voice of Nassau Community College 90.3 WHPC. Herbally Yours brings you the latest information about the many facets in the world of natural living. Today, I'm so happy to have on board as our guest Dr. Jennifer Jacobs. She is a medical doctor, a family practice physician who specializes in integrative medicine. She's also a clinical assistant professor in epidemiology at the University of Washington School of Public Health and Community Medicine. She received her MD degree from Wayne State University and a master's in public health from the University of Washington. And she's served on the advisory board of the NIH Office of Alternative Medicine. Today, we're going to talk about her new book, Do You Really Need That Pill? How to Avoid Side Effects, Interactions, and Dangers of Overmedication. Thank you so much for joining us today, Dr. Jacobs.
Thank you, Ellen, for inviting me.
Well, I hear you coming in loud and clear, which is excellent. Let's go back in time, Dr. Jacobs, and tell our listeners why you decided to become a doctor.
Wow. Well, you're going way back in time. I guess, excuse me, the reason many young people go into medicine, and that is I wanted to help people. I wanted to help them cure their illnesses. Unfortunately, once I got into medicine, I realized that wasn't always the goal.
The goal of the profession was still your goal.
Absolutely. It was still my goal. Absolutely. But I did become rather disillusioned early on and started looking at more of the integrative medicine approaches.
Well, how long did that take?
Well, I guess it didn't take very long. It took about 5 or 6 years once I got into my residency in family medicine. I actually started becoming aware, even back then, that the side effects of many drugs were worse than the problems that were being treated.
That's a major statement, isn't it? And, so true. I just do want to share with you that I have been doing what is now called integrative medicine. We used to call it natural medicine or alternative medicine. And I actually started in that field in 1964. So I was always involved in natural medicine long before I became a nurse. So I know what you mean. And I'm not sure if you ever heard of Dr. Serafina Corsello, but she was a real front runner as a medical doctor in the field of natural medicine in New York. And I was her nurse that helped to run her very large office, both in Manhattan and Huntington, Long Island, for about 23 years. So it was definitely, an evolving process. And I'm so happy that it's gaining some ground now among people who used to practice what we can call conventional medicine.
Correct. Yes. And I go way back too into the late 70s at least. And yes, it was called alternative medicine, traditional medicine, which I thought was kind of funny because most people talk about conventional medicine now as traditional medicine. But there's a lot of wisdom that has been lost in the modern practice of medicine. Many things that have been known by healers all over the world for many centuries.
You're so true. I'm really happy you brought up that word traditional, Dr. Jacobs, because that's one of the things I teach all my people who study and, learn about herbal medicine. Let's use the word traditional appropriately. And even in the Department of Traditional Medicine at Columbia Presbyterian Medical School. I sat on that panel, and we did make a group decision to call it the Panel of Traditional Medicine because it dealt with traditional Chinese medicine, herbal medicine, Ayurvedic medicine. So you are correct that that particular term gets thrown around incorrectly.
Yes, yes. But I am hopeful that more and more people are thinking about these issues. And actually, the last chapter of my book is about alternative modalities and some of the ways that they can be helpful to people.
Well, I really like the topic of your book, and I want to remind our listeners that you are listening to uh, right here on the Voice of Nassau Community College. You're listening to Herbally Yours, and we're speaking with our guest, Dr. Jennifer Jacobs, and we're going to talk about her book, Do You Really Need That Pill? So, Dr. Jacobs, that's a great name for your book.
Yes, it is. And there's a funny story related to the name of the book. My agent had the book in her hands and was getting ready to send it out to publishers to see if we could find someone to take it on. And the name of the book at that point was called The Overmedication Epidemic. And her husband, who was a retired PR person, said, "That's boring. That's a boring name." And he came up with the name, Do You Really Need That Pill? And I love it. I really do, because it really taps into people's concerns. And intuitive, I think a lot of people feel that they're taking too many drugs, but they don't know who to turn to talk about it.
Yes, it's a great name for the book because also it puts it within the realm of conventional patients. It makes it not just for people who are interested in natural medicine or integrative medicine. So it really opens the audience to those who really need this information.
Exactly. And that's who I was looking for as readers of this book. It's written in a very easy to understand language. What I tried to do was to take information from the medical journals, from medical research and studies, and translate that into easy to understand words and phrases that anyone can understand.
That's such a great thing. You know, how I got my name, the natural nurse, which is a registered trademark, was when I was a young nurse in 1973. When I went into the hospital, I would review, like you're supposed to do, all the drugs that were being recommended, not recommended, but required to be given by the physicians. And I actually went to the Merck manual. And in those days, we only had copy machines, no internet, right? Xerox
I
machines, they
remember
were
the
called.
Merck manual, yes.
Right. And I used to make copies right from the Merck manual of the various pharmaceuticals that were being given. And right in there, it said things like they should not be given together. And yet that was totally ignored, as it seems to be today.
Yes, yes. The problem of drug-drug interactions is one that really concerns me, because maybe we understand how one drug interacts with another, but when you add a third and a fourth and a fifth, do you know that 40% of people over age 65 take 5 or more prescription drugs? I mean, that's crazy in my mind, because we don't know how they all interact and the side effects. I don't know. I don't know what people are thinking these days.
Well, it seems to me that it's almost a fabricated response that I actually think is promoted by the pharmaceutical companies specifically to sell drugs, not to create health and wellness.
Absolutely. You know, the more I look into it, the more I realize that, medicine unfortunately has turned from a service profession into a money-making center. And, the pharmaceutical industry, big pharma, as we call them, is right in the middle of it. My research for this book uncovered so many conflicts of interest, payoffs. It's incredible when you think about the health of people that's being risked in the name of profit.
Well, I would love you to share some of those and our listeners, just so you know, so you can follow up on this. The name of the book is Do You Really Need That Pill? How to Avoid Side Effects, Interactions, and Other Dangers of Overmedication. So tell us at least one of those stories that you uncovered in your research, Dr. Jacobs.
Well, one interesting phenomenon, I guess you would say, that the drug companies do is they look for new, quote unquote, illnesses that they can create a market to sell drugs for. So, for example, one company had a new antidepressant that they wanted to market, but the antidepressant market was rather full. There were already quite a few antidepressants on the market. So they decided to market this antidepressant for a new indication, a new illness that they called social anxiety. Well, we all get anxious before we speak to a crowd, or maybe if we go to a party where we don't know anybody. But this company started a campaign that was backed by what they called a nonprofit organization to create Social Anxiety Month. And they started sending out press releases, this so-called nonprofit, about the dangers of social anxiety and how many people suffer from it and so forth. And after they had kind of made the, softened the market, then they started advertising this antidepressant for social anxiety, which became a big seller. And many people started taking it who really didn't need anything. This is what I call in my book a made-up illness, an illness that's just part of the normal life of people that has been medicalized and turned into an illness that people take drugs for.
That's so true. And, I another one that I see, which is very big, is they made a phenomena out of something they called low T, which of course is low testosterone. But yet
Yes.
there are clinics set up where I think they are just irresponsibly dispensing testosterone, and they actually inject it. And I have several of my own clients who got that done, had outrageously horrible reactions, and there's no way to remove it because it's a pellet under your skin.
Oh, my. Yes. Well, I hadn't heard of that one, but that just is par for the course, I think. The same thing for Cialis and the drugs that they give people for difficult erections. I mean, sure, some men have problems now and then, but it's mostly now being used as a recreational drug, for God's sakes.
Yes, there are so many problems with that. It's just incredible. So we're going to take a little break right here, and I want to remind you that you are listening to Herbally Yours on the voice of Nassau Community College 90.3 WHPC. Listen live online at nccradio.org or join us on iHeartRadio. For more information on today's guest or topic, email us at whpc@ncc.edu. Stay tuned. Herbally Yours will be right back.
Hi, everyone. I'm Kristen Bell, and I invited you here to my hotel room to talk about your cheeks, your big, beautiful cheeks. Get your mind out of the gutter. I'm talking about swabbing them. Did you guys know that each year 20,000 Americans with blood cancer are searching for their life-saving marrow match? Can you even believe that? I mean, people need marrow, you guys, and we have it. So here's how we can help. It's really, really simple. All you have to do is swab your cheek. Then go to Gift of Life Marrow Registry. It's so easy, anyone can do it. And in case you're wondering, if you're a match, donating, it's a lot easier than you think. So wherever you are, go ahead and swab that cheek.